Welcome back, everyone. This is Julie. This is Two Non-Critics and a Cat, and I'm here with my sister in person and with Federica, still digitally.
Virtually, not
Virtually, she said. And there's Nala as well in the background that she just finished eating.
Yeah, no, Feds is actually with us. She's not AI generated. She's not digital.
I'm just attending the call from my house.
She's attending the Zoom call.
She's attending a Zoom call. So we're doing a special episode today, which is something new that we thought about. So we're talking about the Odyssey, which is the new movie that Christopher Nolan is preparing for July 2026 release date. And basically we read the Odyssey, right? And
Yep.
we have seen the cast and we've seen the pictures, locations and so on. So we'll try to guess basically what Nolan is baking for us. So I would say we go like chapter by chapter and see.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and see how it goes. So first of all, the cast. So we have Tom Holland.
Yeah, we have Tom Holland, Zendaya, Matt Damon, Robert Pattinson, Anne Hathaway, Elliot Page, John Bertnell, Charlize Theron, Mia Goth, Benny Safdie.
Who is in Oppenheimer as well.
Yeah.
Teller.
Yes. John Leguizamo. That's a very exotic name. Himesh Patel, Corey Hawkins, Samantha Morton, William Lee, Lupita Nyong'o, Shiloh Fernandez, Ravi Gavron, and the last but not the least is Nick Tarbay.
Never-ending list of actors.
Yeah, so this is the confirmed cast, but I'm sure there'll be more. I hope there'll be more, obviously. But this is the confirmed cast. So we can go with the chapter. So the first chapter of the Odyssey is Athene that visits Telemachus and basically sets him on his journey to find his father, because they don't know if he's dead or if he's lost or if he's whatever. So Athene apparently is played by Zendaya.
Confirmed the acting is in the
And
theme.
Telemachus is Tom Holland.
Mm-hmm.
And they have spotted them both in Favignana.
Yep.
In Italy.
So in Italy, where they were shooting. So Feds, do you think maybe they are shooting their
Chapter
first
by chapter?
part?
Potentially, yeah, because Athena is along most of the journey anyway, especially at the beginning. Not just with Telemachus, but also with Odysseus. So probably they're shooting that, potentially. Interesting choice to have Zendaya, because if I think of Athena, I would have thought more, for some reason, Charlize Theron for me will be more Athena.
Yeah.
I thought about it also, yeah. But then Zendaya, if I looked at her, she looks like a goddess, surely.
It's not the look, it's the energy. Athena is the goddess of intellect, so she's patient, she's beyond her years, and Zendaya looks quite young, and that's her one of the best features, because she's like young in every single movie that she makes. Like, she has really young features. So to me, it doesn't marry specifically with the idea that I have of the goddess of intellect.
She has to play the part as the sage, you know. She has to have
She's
the part.
very young to be like the goddess of intellect. Like, if
Yeah,
you think
that's what
about
I
it.
think.
But still, I think, I don't know, I really like her.
I think she'll do a killer interpretation.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh no, I had no doubt about that.
I like to see her in really strict roles.
But I get what you're saying. Also, I would have the same. To be honest, Charlize Theron is so beautiful. She could do anything really because in the book, most of the women they are described as being very beautiful, like
Yeah, all
goddess
of the
like.
women in ancient Greek.
Yeah. So basically, I could see Charlize Theron doing anything because she looks like a goddess, that's for sure.
I mean,
Do
the
we
cast
know?
doesn't look very bad at all, like Mia
Yeah.
Goth and Zendaya.
Do you know what she's cast for?
Circe, apparently.
Aha, yeah, that makes sense as well.
Yeah, apparently Circe. But so if we keep on the chapter list, so basically it starts with there is a debate in Ithaca with basically Telemachus is left with these suitors who are eating up his legacy,
His family
rich
legacy, yeah, everything that he has in his house.
inheritance. In terms of food, obviously, we're talking about
Cattle,
different times.
pigs,
So talking
sheeps.
about foods and ships, yeah, exactly. And then, so basically, who is eating up his inheritance? The suitors who are there to court his mother, Penelope, who is Odysseus' wife, but
Which is
is
casted by Anne Hathaway.
which is yes played by Anne Hathaway. Who I also thought it could be Charlize Theron for some reason, but no.
Not for Penelope, no, because Penelope is described with black hair.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
So
Very
I didn't
Anne Hathaway.
see.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway is a really good choice. And why? Because Odysseus went missing for 20 years. So these suitors want to marry Penelope because she's beautiful, because she's the heir to this, reign.
I had a brain fart. For a moment, I was like, 20 years? Yes, because it's 10 of war and 10 of journey.
20
so,
years,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
He left Ithaca 20 years before then going back. So, so there is all of this, and then there is Athena going to Telemachus saying, listen, you should find out if your father is alive or dead, and this thing. And so basically she sets him on this journey, and then he goes to Nestor, who we don't know is playing by.
Yes.
Yeah, who I don't know. It's a small part, very small.
I mean, he gave a small part to Rami Malek last movie, so it could be everybody. It
I
could be.
John
think it
Bernal
may be
easily.
no. John Bernal is Menelaus,
Ah, okay.
so it might be Benny Safdie.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
And
I can't remember if Nestor was described as a old man, though.
Me neither. Me neither, but he has kids. But I can definitely see Benny Safdie having kids. I mean, if you put a
I
beard
mean, in
to
ancient
him,
Greece, if you were 16, you were having
Yeah,
already
exactly.
kids, so
Yeah,
it doesn't
exactly.
really matter.
he has kids because one of his kid goes with Telemachus, I think, to Menelaus,
Yeah.
if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, because Athena asks for the strongest sailors to accompany him on his journey.
Which the other kid could be Elliot Page.
Ah, yeah.
Ah, it could be actually. Yeah, you're right. Because it's
That's number 2.
it looks very young, so it could be
I mean, he is very.
very interesting. By the way, I've seen some of the pictures with Tom Holland in costume. The costumes were like impressive, very beautiful.
Possibly not historically accurate, but
I
impressive.
mean, I'm sure they are historically accurate.
For most
Being
of
Nolan,
the book, anyway, they are described as wearing like old pieces of clothing, anyways, because they're either like
Cloth.
yeah, just cloth.
Just a cloth.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what it was.
So he goes with Nestor to Menelaus to inquire about his father, because Menelaus fought with his father in the Battle of
Trojan
Troy.
War.
Yeah, and so he goes to Menelaus and Helen to inquire about his father, and Menelaus says that he doesn't know about him, correct? But he says he's alive.
Yeah.
He thinks he's alive.
They always keep it vague. They always say, we didn't hear that he died, so we don't think he's dead. So it's always sure that he's not dead, but they cannot tell him, oh, yes, he's definitely alive. But they all know about the fact that he's definitely on a journey, one way or the other, because they know that he pissed off Poseidon, so they're like, he's not going to make it that easily back home.
Yeah. And this is the end of Telemachus in this first part, because then the next chapter is Calypso and we already have Odysseus.
Yeah.
But then he comes back in when he returns to Ithaca. So my thing is, because Telemachus is only at the beginning when they are in Ithaca, and then he goes to Nestor, Menelaus, whatever, and then when he comes back to Ithaca, and we have seen the pictures on set of Tom Holland mostly in Favignana, I'm thinking that maybe Sicily is Ithaca in the movie. Like, I'm thinking that maybe they are using Favignana to do Ithaca. Might that be?
Yeah. I mean, map-wise, most of the things happen around Sicily, Naples, the Aeolic Islands, and the bottom part of south of Italy anyways. So it would make sense if Favignana will be used as Ithaca anyways, because it's an island. So
Okay, so it's realistic, you think?
absolutely.
Yeah,
it's a
because
small island.
Tom Holland is only in parts where they are in Ithaca, apart from when he's with Menelaus and with Nestor, and on the boat, obviously, because he's sailing. So I'm thinking maybe they might have used the
The only
Favignana for
thing
that.
that confuses me a little bit is the presence of Robert Pattinson there, because he plays Hermes, and Hermes gets sent to Calypso by Zeus to ask Calypso to release Odysseus.
Yes, which is this chapter. So this chapter is Calypso, and we have Hermes, yes, who's played by Robert Pattinson. This is, I think, quite new actually. We didn't know this until like 2 weeks ago or something. Yes, he goes to Calypso to say basically what Athena has kind of conjured with Zeus, what they want Odysseus to do, and they want Calypso to send him on his way to return to Ithaca. I mean, it's a bit more complex than that, obviously. It's the Odyssey. but that's the juice, yes. Yes, I get your point, but
I have another cast guess, but
go.
it's more like if it's used or not. If Hermes is sent to Zeus, are we not supposed to be casting Zeus too? Is he shown?
I'm not sure actually.
So at the moment, Zeus is only mentioned so the main deities that appear here, as far as I can remember, is Athena, is definitely Hermes. Can't remember who else appears, but they are the main ones that actually do interact with the characters.
Menelaus.
No, I was just talking about the
Menelaus
deities.
is a king. It's a man.
Ah,
still.
you're talking about gods, sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
No,
So,
I think Zeus is only
Poseidon
present-
appears, but
Poseidon
Zeus is only
eight.
mentioned.
Yeah, I think Zeus is only mentioned, but I think there are scenes in which he talks to Athena
Yeah,
a couple of times, not many, but like.
yeah.
But you could definitely go away with not casting anyone and just get Athena to carry out the plan. Like she talked to Zeus, but without showing it in the movie.
Zeus.
I'm sure you could get away with it quite easily.
Or maybe we'll find somebody acted as Zeus. Who knows?
I don't know.
I mean, there's gonna be a lot of Easter eggs anyway, so I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if one actor becomes an Easter egg.
Yeah, me neither. I'm actually hoping for that. For my personal Easter egg.
We're gonna see, I don't know, Kenneth Branagh playing Zeus.
Oh, that would be be good actually. I think.
Kenneth Branagh would be a good Zeus.
Yes.
I love Kenneth Branagh.
I can only see
Anthony Hopkins as well.
Anthony Hopkins, yeah. He was Odin, so...
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins was Odin.
I mean, I know who has like Ocean's Eyes to do Poseidon.
Probably, yeah.
Anyway,
it has to
love
be
to see
bulky
hate.
though. It's not lean.
Yeah, I know, but he's not because he's trained for Tommy recently, so he's a bit bulky.
Honestly, none of the
True,
gods are lean.
yeah.
They're all
Yeah.
chunked up.
Anyway, to your point about Hermes being in there,
The narration.
I'm sure they have used. So the sets that they are using are Turkey. Am I
They
wrong?
went to
Morocco.
Morocco.
Yes.
Went to Morocco, they set it on fire.
Yeah. Morocco, Sicily,
Italy. I think they're going to go to Greece as well at some
Greece,
point.
and London.
Yes, exactly. They've done some internal
studio.
shooting in
Yes.
studio
Oh, you
in,
know, now
in the
it makes me
UK.
think that the other day I went to St. Paul and somebody was shooting there.
Yeah, they're not shooting outside. They're shooting in studio. I
Yeah.
think they're shooting in Pinewood or something. Anyway,
They were shooting in front of St. Paul. I don't think
yeah,
that
no, I
would
don't think
fit
this
the
the Odyssey.
narration.
They
Uh,
were, somebody was saying in some Reddit thread, they could also use Scotland and Iceland for
Yeah.
studio things.
but my point is the locations are less than the actual places where they go, so they might use a location
Yeah.
to do multiple sets.
Absolutely, like especially because it will be easy. For instance, if you do most of it in Italy, it could be easy to move between like Sicily, the Aeolian Islands, and Favignana because they're all close to to another, and they look kind of similar to the location that they could be shooting at.
Also, I'm sure they can find a cave in Favignana, you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. So okay, so he goes to Calypso. All we said, Hermes brings the plan, and Calypso send him on his way. Correct? He goes to. Is that when he goes to Hades?
He's going, if
To
I'm
the
not
gates of hell?
mistaken, no. After Calypso, he gets run of course again, so he should be traveling for like 10 days towards another island, which I don't know the name in English.
No, you're right. It's after Circe that he goes
Exactly.
to the.
He meets Nausicaa there.
Nausicaa, who brings him. So who is gonna be Nausicaa at this point? I think Lupita Nyong'o, because she's the only one that they haven't disclosed. You know.
Lupita Nyong'o was charged at Clytemnestra.
Wow.
Clytemnestra.
That's interesting.
I don't remember who she is. Who is she?
Clytemnestra is, if I'm not mistaken, Agamemnon's wife.
Oh, I see.
And she's the one that kills Agamemnon, and because he sacrificed Iphigenia, which is his daughter,
Yes.
to win the war of Troy.
Interesting.
To my cast prediction,
Actually, Benny Safdie is Agamemnon.
Ah, that's true. They say that.
Yeah.
yeah. So I still think it's John Bernal.
No, John
Yeah?
Bernard, I told you, it's Menelaus, so they announced it.
Then just
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so
To
Lupita
my cast
Nyong'o,
prediction,
interesting.
to my cast prediction, Mia Goth could be playing Helen.
You think?
Young, particularly beautiful.
I think we are missing a bunch of women.
I think we're missing someone, yeah.
100%. I mean, like, I don't think they released the whole cast. to
No,
be
me
honest.
neither. I don't think.
I think Helen will be played by Samantha Morton. You know what I mean?
Where is Samantha?
Samantha
No.
Morton. Ooh.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Because there has to be kind of like a big age gap between Menelaus and Ellen.
Okay, so Mia Goth would probably
Probably
fit
will, yeah.
better, because Menelaus is John Berntal and Mia Goth is quite a lot younger. Samantha Morton, I think, is either his same age or even older, probably.
Yeah. In all of this, we forgot to mention that Odysseus is played by Matt Damon.
Yeah, of course. That is true. Matt Damon, the poor guy, is playing Odysseus, and he is found by Nausicaa after he does his is set on by Calypso, but obviously Poseidon is upset with him, and so he doesn't have a good time, say, and he's found by Nausicaa, who tells him to go to the palace of Alcinous, who's her father, and without her, because he was bad, and you know, if they saw them arriving together, blah blah blah, and so he goes to the palace of Alcinous, where the Phaeacian, basically they welcome him with open arms, and they do some games. They kind of even challenge him, and he display this strength that he's got, even though at the beginning he really didn't want to, but then he was kind of challenged, and the bride prevailed, and then they set him off on his journey to Ithaca. You know, they want to help him to return to to his place, but then he goes to meet the Cyclops. He doesn't meet the Cyclops. He's just during his journey. Again, Poseidon, who loves him very much, makes him basically land. I don't know, how do you say when a boat gets destroyed or something, and you get
He gets into a shipwreck.
yeah, shipwreck on this island, where they don't know who's living there. They don't know if they are welcoming or whatever, and they're not, because it's the island where Odysseus and his crew meet the Cyclops. And so here we go. This is where my question starts. How cringe, like how creepy, in terms of violence, how much violence do you think there will be here? Because Nolan is not a guy who particularly loves violence.
Yeah,
but
he's not known to be showing violence in his movies.
but the Odyssey is actually quite violent, because the Cyclops part, when the Cyclops, who is the son of Poseidon, starts to kill his crew, he's described by him crushing their brain and eating their limbs and blah blah blah. So it's quite violent, you know.
I mean, it can be interesting because at the end of the day, you know the rest of the journey that got him to Ogygia's island, which is Calypso's island, and then to the Phaeacians with Nausicaa. You hear the rest of the story through Odysseus' recalling of it, because he tells them the story.
Okay, so you could say it. That is true, because they're all flashbacks. The whole Odyssey, the story of Odysseus is actually told by flashbacks. So theoretically, you could have him tell the story without seeing anything.
And you could use, because the thing that it does, they're all trapped in a cage and inside a cave. And most of the times, what Odysseus sees is shadows.
Yes.
Sometimes, because he takes them from the cage, he picks them up, he crushes them, and so you could easily find some ways to depict like a giant eating something that looks like a body of a human. But again, it's because it's recollection. If there's something that you could definitely cut, it's probably some of those kind of things. Or that you could turn into just an...
Definitely. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think he will probably use some escamotage, you know. Yeah. And then what happens? He goes back to his boat, and then he again shipwreck.
Do you remember how he tricks Polyphemus?
Yeah, with the branches and the kettles.
Yes, because he's of course blind, and he brushes the fur, let's call it fur, of the sheep to calm them, so they all hide under the belly of the kettle.
And he's blind because Odysseus blinds him, which is another reason for Poseidon to be upset with him.
And the best part of it all is that Poseidon kind of like gets a hunch of who did it just because of the intellect, because Odysseus never said his name to the Cyclops.
Yeah, that is true. Yes.
He says the
nothing.
Cyclops that
My name is nothing.
Exactly. So when the Cyclops is screaming, he did it, it's like, who did it? Nobody.
So none of the other Cyclops come to his help, because he was
exactly.
like, what?
Which is amazing. He's so clever.
He's really clever. Okay, then shipwreck again with his crew, and he goes to this other island. So shipwreck after another, which is the island of Circe, who's played by Charlize Theron. So they go into this forest, whatever that is, to this house where they didn't want to go, because obviously his crew is now very smart, and they're like, okay, last time you brought us to this Cyclops, we don't trust you anymore. Like, we don't want to go to see who lives there, because it might happen again that they crush our brain and eat us alive. So they don't want to go, but they go, because he orders them to go. And they go, and they are enslaved by Circe initially. But then Odysseus goes, and I think they come to,
an agreement. Yeah, because he's always the one that charms people. Like, most of the things that happens is because he's quite clever.
He's a master strategist.
Wiggling out of things. Even when it goes to the Trojan War, he always finds a way to make it in his favor, and that's why he's as Athena's favorite.
Okay, now you need to remind me this part with Circe, because I read it so fast that I don't remember it, because I only wanted to know if they had sex.
She
So
turns
I read it
the
fast.
crew into pigs.
Whenever I read.
She what?
She turns the crew into pigs because they
yeah,
were all
true.
misbehaving after traveling for so long. Everybody's like kind of like starved and wants to drink. And you got to remember that in ancient Greece, there's no such things as drinking water. So all of the thing that you drink is wine.
It's wine.
So
I
all
noticed
of
that.
these
I didn't
men-
realize that they didn't drink water, but I noticed that they're always
No,
drinking
they
wine.
don't drink water. So the gods drink ambrosia, which is something that will probably kill a man because it's quite strong to inebriate a god, because gods are immortal, so they cannot get inebriated. So they drink ambrosia, and instead humans just drink wine. So everywhere they go, they filled up ship with wine, lots of wine. So you get all these men that are desperate, traveling so far, starving to death. They get to this island. They get offered food because it's the custom.
Yes.
And they eat the food, but they're kind of like disrespectful. They just eat and eat and eat and drink. So at some point, like Chicha was like, "What am I even doing here? Why am I doing this?" So she turns them into what they really are, which is pigs. The only one that doesn't get turned into a pig is Odysseus, because he's kind of like laying back, like trying to tell his crew, "Hey, please just don't kind of like disrespect the host because it's not good. We don't know this person, so we know what happened." So he's pretty cautious about things, and because he's still respectful, she spares him. So he kind of like starts having the conversation with her about his journey, what he's going through, all the things that happened before that point. So they kind of like, I think they kind of like strike a friendship or something. So and he tries to bargain for his men to try and save as many as he can.
Yeah, very true. And then he is so. Why Circe sends him on his way? Because I remember someone goes to convince her. I don't remember who though.
Can't remember that.
Someone goes to
that
convince
part.
her to send Odysseus on his way, because she's kind of infatuated with him, and she says,
Hermes. It's Hermes.
Hermes again. Here we go. And she says that he needs to go to Hades and speak to the dead, and he goes to the hell of, to the gates of hell.
The way that they trick her is because she basically just wants a son, because she's tired of being on her own. So she wants to have somebody to love. So Odysseus basically asks Hermes helps, and basically decides to spend a year with her to become basically his lover.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yes.
And
Yes.
they have a son together.
Do they?
Yeah.
It doesn't say in my book.
It's between Hermes and Circe.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't say in my book. Which version of the book did you read?
I was like, where is this spin-off? Is that another book? Okay. So, so he goes to the gates of hell. He speaks to some important women and also some important men. One of which is Agamemnon's, who's played by Benny Safdie, now we know, who tells him to be very careful of the women of the house when he goes back to Ithaca, because when he went back, his lovely wife, who is played by, we said, Lupita, no? Yes,
Yep.
killed him. So he's like, be careful, like don't go for front, hello, I'm back, just go by,
by
from
the
the back door, see how the situation is, and then go. So he gets some advice on how to go back and so on.
He also gets sent to the underworld to speak with Tiresias, which is he's a prophet that is blind, and he was there at the point because he used to live in Thebes. And he gets a prophecy from him as well in terms of like, will I ever come back home or whatever not. Yeah.
Yes, and is it him that says to him, you will go to like the island where Apollo has his kettles, whatever, don't eat them.
Yes, correct. He gives
we
him
go.
all of this kind of like suggest. This is how like most of the time Odysseus saves himself, because he does listen. Most of in ancient Greek, most of tragedies happen because nobody listens to the prophets.
Yeah, but he listens. But
not
then
even joking.
Don't
not
eat the
even
kettle
joking.
of Apollo. And who eats the kettle of Apollo? His crew.
All of the others.
Yeah. So don't eat them. What do? You eat them. Great.
Yeah.
Well done. And so then they go through Scylla and Charybdis, who are basically, as Julie puts it in a very like simplistic but very effective way,
Calamity.
the Kraken and the Maelstrom.
Yes, it's the Kraken and the Maelstrom from literally Pirates of the Caribbean. So basically, they're calamities. That's what they are. They've always been portrayed as calamities.
And
so
the
they are
best
in
part of
different
it all
universes, and
is
I
that-
can understand that.
The best part of it is that geographically, the reason why those two calamities are between Sicily and Calabria is because you have really strong currents.
Yes, which
So
is what
whenever
create the
ship
Maelstrom.
were
Yeah,
going
and takes out the
through-
Kraken.
Yeah, wherever
Sheila
ship
and
were
Karim.
going through that, they would get wrecked if you were in the wrong time of day.
Yeah, and that is the punishment to eating the kettles of Apollo. So basically, his whole crew dies in there,
In the Maelstrom.
but he manages to like hang on a piece of the boat or whatever and get and basically is saved from this. And
Yep.
then he actually lands in Ithaca.
First he goes to Ojija, where he meets Calypso, and that's when he spends time with her.
Yes, again.
She traps him, she captures him, and that's then when you go back, because remember the book is you
It's
are
a
at the end
flashback,
already
yes.
in the book. You are at the end in the book already.
Yeah,
when
so
it
actually
begins.
Calypso, he starts with Calypso because he is with Calypso just before he goes back to Ithaca.
Correct.
Yes, so now at this point he goes back to, he is with Calypso where we started, and then she gets convinced by Hermes to send him on his way.
Yeah.
And he lands in Ithaca, and he's not sure it is Ithaca because it's foggy and whatever, but then he realizes it's Ithaca, and he goes into Imo's hut. Now I have no clue who plays that. Who's basically
have
the
no idea.
pig. He's the, how do you say that? The guy who looks after the pigs. You know, the big.
It's like a guardian. It's like a shepherd.
pig-
I would
a
call him a
shepherd,
shepherd.
yeah, exactly.
Shepherd
But
for
he's like
pigs.
one of the oldest of the reign and of the kingdom, whatever. And apparently he's very trusted by Odysseus and Penelope and Telemachus and everyone. And so he's there, and he doesn't say initially who he is
No.
because of the suggestions that he had when he was in the reign of
Hell.
in hell. And then Telemachus returns, and he goes to the same hut because Athena says to him to go there. And then he meets with his father. Initially, he doesn't know that he's his father, but then obviously he reveals, Odysseus reveals himself to Telemachus. So this is basically the first time we will have in the movie Matt Damon and Tom Holland in the same scene
Yes.
when they meet each other again. Like again for the first time, because when he left,
He was probably like
he was like
1
just
year old or
newborn,
just born.
exactly.
Yeah.
So he's now a young man, and so they start strategizing how to take on the suitors and retake basically what it's theirs, which is their palace and everything. So at this point they go into the town. So Telemachus goes back to his palace as Telemachus, and Odysseus, as a beggar, disguised as a beggar with the help of Athena. He goes into town and then he manages to get to the palace where he's welcomed by Telemachus, but with a lot of issues because obviously the suitors are making trouble and so they don't respect his authority because he's very young. And therefore this beggar is, derised and they throw stuff at him and so on. Correct? Federica, I'm looking at you like
She's looking at you for
that's
correction.
correct, right?
No, that's all correct.
Here we
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
And then it happens that he orders Eurycleia, who is one of the oldest servants
Yeah.
of his palace, to to wash his feet of the beggar.
Again, this is like an ancient custom when
Exactly.
every guest gets their feet washed.
Exactly. And she recognizes a scar that he has on his foot from washing his feet. And I think she was his nurse when he was a child.
Yeah, she was basically, in ancient Greece, sometimes rich women would not breastfeed their kids because they didn't have time. So they would hire a woman that was pregnant at the same time and still had breast milk to nurse their children and looking after them.
Exactly. So yeah, she recognizes him, and then they just go ahead with their strategy. So basically, the strategy is there is this bow that is very hard to manage. So basically, they do like a game where all the suitors should pick up this bow and try to strike an arrow, and none of them can.
Yeah, because at this point everybody's tired of Penelope like building and knitting her
To
whatever
marry
she
someone.
was making. Yeah,
Yeah.
so she wanted to force her. They want to force her to marry.
Yeah, and
Choose
so they
somebody to
decide
marry.
that the guy that can strike a arrow of the great bow that belonged to Odysseus can marry her. But then nobody can, and then Telemachus, in agreement with his father, nobody knew, but he knows, gives this bow to the beggar, who says, I'm not gonna marry Penelope if I can, but I just want to try. And obviously, guess what? He manages to do it. Plot twist, he uses the bow to kill the main suitor of Penelope, and then it starts the battle in the hall, which would be interesting to see how Nolan.
I think that would be Morocco.
Do you think?
Yeah, they need a
It could
building
be,
that is
yeah.
airy
The
enough
most
to
destructive
allow.
feature.
Okay, that could be Morocco. You're right. Very right. Because they set it on fire. Because they set on fire the bodies after.
It's pretty violent because you have
is
a
very
man that has been
violent, yeah.
away from his island. He's a king and he's been away from his island for years. Now it's 20 years, so he has to assert his dominance again
Yes.
and his
It is
power.
pretty
So
violent.
it's pretty violent.
Which is very funny because that means that the first scene that we got to see was the end of it. That was one of the first videos that came out.
Ah, yeah, it could be. Yeah, they started from the end
Yeah.
maybe to shoot. But Nolan doesn't shoot in chronological order,
No,
so
that we
that's absolutely possible that he shot the end before the rest. So yeah. Also, we have the big shepherd with them fighting. We have, I think, one of his most trusted
Consulman, yeah.
yes, and we have Telemachus, and we have him. I think it's 4 of them
Yes.
fighting against the suitors.
I think the suitors are like 12 suitors. Because
Yes.
even this book 12 is kind of recurring. It's 12 different islands that he gets lost into. Number 12 is really important in ancient Greece as well. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's recurring and it's 12 chapters, 12. It's like magic number.
Yes, and they obviously they win. I mean, not obviously, but they
He's
win.
a clever man. He manages to
Yeah.
slaughter a whole
He's also a
city.
strong man. It's like it's depicted as very strong.
I love that when he describes the way that he's building his own kind of like makeshift boat, and it turns out to be an actual boat when he's leaving Calypso. It's like,
Yes.
so he got given this to just build a lovely little tiny boat. It's like, no man, I'm gonna make a big ass
Yeah.
ship.
I made the Titanic.
Yes. and then after all of that, he goes to meet Penelope, who initially does not believe that he's him, but then she talks about his bed. She tricks him into talking about his bed, and he says how he built the bed, which was very detailed because he had to get a special trunk or whatever to build this bed, and so she understands that it's actually him. And so they spend the night together, and the critics say that theoretically that should be the end of the Odyssey, because the last chapter that we have in the Odyssey, apparently the critics say that it's not exactly written in it doesn't look like it's written by Homer himself.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm not sure if he's gonna end it here or if he's gonna end it at the actual end of the Odyssey, which is this controversial part, where basically the families of the suitors decide to kind of have the revenge against Odysseus, and they plot the revenge, but then the gods, Athena specifically, comes to his help to basically make them pacify the two sides. So the actual Odyssey ends with the two sides pacifying. So Odysseus and the families of the suitors, and therefore Odysseus still wins.
There's no seeking revenge for
No.
that suitor.
Yes, but apparently this might not be the actual end. The actual end might be when Penelope and Odysseus get back together, spend the night together, and they are embracing.
I mean, if you
That's
think
it.
about it, like everything around the Odyssey, it's like there's been a lot of translators that believe that Homerus is not a real writer, but it's a combination of multiple writers. But the style is there, like it doesn't look like it's multiple people having written it, but it's interesting because there's a lot of mystery around the writer himself.
Yeah. To be honest, having read it for the first time, I have to say that last chapter feels a bit, like
That it doesn't belong, like it's a
I
different.
don't know. Yeah, like if you write something, right, and then after 20 years you decide to add the chapter, something like that. It feels a bit off vibe, if you know what I mean.
I was like, let me just add this little piece of extra just to appease people.
Yeah. So I don't know which end you will choose. Nolan is a master. Honestly, he's
open
a
ends.
master of the ends.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe Nolan's style would probably fit more the Penelope end,
I think so.
because the end of the war, it's like it's Athena that is like, okay, let's pacify. That's literally described like that. It's pacify the two sides. Yes, that's it. Like it ends abruptly in a way.
It just looks like somebody wants to please
Yeah,
the
it's a
gods and
bit
just write down,
abrupt.
and then the gods resolved everything.
Yeah, exactly. While I don't know, I feel like it'd be more like a love story. I don't know.
I mean, the man was devoted to the woman, and the woman
Yeah.
was devoted to her man. Like 20 years have passed, and he was still crying.
Yeah, it would be a nice end,
He was still crying over her on the island while Calypso was trying to seduce him.
Yeah, I think it would be a nice end.
Yeah, or it can be an open end. Like doesn't have to have a close ending. I mean, we all remember the token from Inception. Is it still moving? Is it falling
we can
down?
get a trilogy. I'm up for a Nolan trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love it. I think so. Having read it so recently, I am quite shocked that he picked this source material, because it doesn't feel like Nolan's source material to me.
You know why I'm not shocked? He is usually driven or wants to tell the story of men that are quite clever, but also thoughtful and never like they always second guess themselves, but try to do always the right thing. And at the end of the day, that's Odysseus as well. He always like his moral compass is I just want to go back to my own family. And he's a respectful man. He respects traditions. He respects culture. So it's like everything. Although most of the things don't go the right way because it manages to still get some of the gods mad at him. The rest of it, like, he always finds a clever way to pull himself together and get out of things. And all of the characters that he plays, they're like this moral compass that guides them in a way. Any main characters in his movies are driven by something like that. So that doesn't stray away from Odysseus as a character, doesn't stray away from all the other characters that he describes in his movie.
And also, now that I read it, I can say that I see why he picked Tom Holland for Telemachus. I have to say that I feel like Tom Holland, he has it. I don't feel like he's gonna struggle to play that character. While it's an easier one. Like it's quite similar to him. You know what I mean?
He makes it plainly clear to the suitors, like, I don't like you here.
Yeah,
you are
but he's
destroying
also
my
never
house.
disrespectful.
He's never disrespectful, but he's always upfront about his feelings. It's like, you're here, you are pillaging everything in my house. You are not respecting.
I think Tom Holland's got that. Because if you think of his Spider-Man is a bit, he's got a good heart, he's super honest, you know. I don't know, like I've seen him play similar things, if you think about it. While Matt Damon, bloody hell, like he's got, he's a great actor, but like he's got quite a journey in front of him, you know. It's, I've never seen him play anything similar, I think.
Well, it might be close to the character he played in Oppenheimer, to be honest, because Odysseus is a general first and foremost, so he's a really strategic mind. And although it's like exceptionally clever, it's always like kind of like military and militant about things. So.
And on that, you are very right. I didn't think about it. But on the other side, I would never see General Groves cry. While Odysseus cries quite a lot in the Odyssey. So he needs to also have that vulnerable side. Like it's very hard to do like a vulnerable side to the general hardship, you know what I mean? So
he has to tap into the character that he played in Good Will Hunting.
It makes me
he
think
has
about
to go
the
back
Martian
in his career.
for some reason.
The Martian?
Yeah, it makes me feel about...
Yeah, like he's got these moments of... breaking
down, but at the end is like a piece of shit, basically.
I think it's more challenging for him though than for Tom Holland, if you understand my point. Like
he is the main character.
Yeah, he's a great actor, but like it's I think it's something that we have never seen him do on this scale, you know. It'll be interesting, I think.
Yeah.
Another way is totally Penelope. Like,
definitely.
I can definitely see her do that.
I can agree.
Honestly.
And I can see Lupita being Clytemnestra, to be honest, even if it's going to be for a little bit that she's going to show up, because Clytemnestra is quite a vengeful character. It's like close enough to Medea, who is another character that it's not part of the Odyssey, but it's Greek mythology. They're like, she's quite a vengeful woman, because she's like, the only reason why she takes up a lover while Agamemnon is in Troy is just because he killed his daughter. So it's like, this man, she doesn't love him anymore because like he destroyed her family. So she's like, I need to find vengeance. And she doesn't fall in love with her suitor. She just finds a man to do her bid. So she finds him so that she can lure him with her love and convince him to then, when Agamemnon comes back from the war, to actually kill him. Just for vengeance. That's it. So I feel like Lupita has a strong...
Yeah. And to conclude, Ludwig Göransson is working on the soundtrack.
We don't want to hear it, Ludwig. We don't want to hear it.
No, honestly, I really hope that he's gonna use some harp and some lyre. Is it lyre?
Yeah.
Yeah, in it. Because when you speak Greece and the Odyssey, that's the first thing that comes to your mind in terms of the music. So I hope it's gonna use that instrument a bit, because it's not used ever. But it's
Are you hoping that it's gonna do the same thing that happened with Interstellar and the organ?
Yeah.
yeah, with
Pretty
the
much.
harp. It's I think it's a very underused instrument, but
most
for
underused.
this, for like ancient Greece, I think it would be very
I feel
suitable.
there's gonna be a lot of drums.
You think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The most underused instrument in the world is the bagpipes. And I'm really sad about it because it's one of my favorite.
But it's in Dune.
Yeah, one movie.
I know, but it's the whole thing. Anyway, that's great.
I think
So
that's it.
I think that's it. We talked 50 minutes about it, but I really liked it. It was a really good episode, I have to say.
It was just
Julie
interesting
was
to
just
see
super
how
confused.
all of us three knew some different things about the Odyssey.
Yeah, exactly. Amazing. So I'll see you all this week. I'm reading Doom Messiah right now.
So maybe next week we will talk about.
No, it will take me 3 years to read it. I have never read anything more boring of this book.
Well, yeah, that's how it is. The Doom books are
My
really
God,
hard to
like the
actually read.
movie in comparison is like an action movie.
Yeah,
It's
that's why nobody picked it up apart from Disney's.
the book is so boring. The first 30 pages, it's a meeting between Shitale, who is this guy who apparently will be played by Robert Pattinson, by the way. They announced it last week that they are in talk for him to play this character. And then there is Irulan, who's Florence Pugh, and the Bene Gesserit, and this meeting, it's like 30 pages, and they talk about nothing. Like they talk about her wanting a kid from Paul to give an heir to the throne, whatever the hell, I don't care. And they are obviously doing they're conjuring against the emperor, but then
Amazing.
You don't need 30 pages to do that, you know what I mean? Like, but anyway, I will tell you more.
Thank you very much for coming with us into this little trip, and we'll see you next week with Nala, more Screams by Nala, Federica, me, and Martina.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.